important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Peter Mingils here with Jody Bear. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Jody, you'll be able to hear and share this radio show with the people that are important to you. So, Jody, back to you.
Thank you, Peter. And so what I'm doing here, as I said, I knew there was another D in there. Remember, it's disseminate, discriminate, and differentiate. Now I'm going to dispense the information. But it's just like a person's beliefs now, isn't it? But think about it. If you have knowledge, guess what you have? You have power. I remember the polio vaccine in elementary school. I remember that sugar cube, and I just didn't like sugar after that because it had this pink stuff on it. We took it and one and done. But this is what I know. Every vaccine, including the Salk vaccine, has one common thing in it, and it is detergent. Now, I know detergent cleans your clothes, but every vaccine has detergent in it. And what does detergent do? It's a blood-brain barrier. You can't say that. It's kind of like Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers, whatever it is. Yes, the blood-brain barrier, and it can cause seizures. Okay, so every single vaccine out there, whether it's the MMR, you give the polio vaccine, you name it, has detergents in it. See, this chemical is a water-soluble ionic detergent. It's bile salt. It's not like Epsom salt, it's bile salt, which causes cell death. So even if you do decide to take the vaccine, check in with me. We can rejuvenate those cells. It's very important. But every vaccine is shown to do this as to weaken that blood-brain barrier, causing seizures, stroke, that kind of thing. See, detergents and emulsifiers, things that bubble up, promote tumors, cause cells to leak and explode in their weakening walls because you can't keep having things go off without it being weakened. See, there's a substance. It's called sodium. Now, I'm going to make you really smart because you listen to Building Fortunes Radio tonight, listening audience. Sodium chlorelate, okay? Sodium dichlorelate, okay? It's completely foreign. It has a relationship that actually it puts the immune system off balance. That's all you got to know. So we've talked about homeostasis. If you listen to me for a long time, you want homeostasis, but this disrupts this sodium dichlorelate, okay? So this dichlorelate also induces DNA damage and does just really bad things. Yes, it's called apoptosis. And what that is, it disrupts the human colon. And what have you learned from me all the way along? That your colon, it's the base chakra. We can't talk about pee and poop on this show without making it right. It disrupts the human colon. So if we know we've got a disruption with this brain barrier, let's see where we go with this, shall we? Okay, this is what I know. This is research I've been doing ever since COVID-19 came out now with this flu vaccine. I've been doing this research now for 9 months. But this last week, I bet I've gotten 200 calls about the new COVID vaccines coming out. So I said, I'm just moved to give this information, like I said, totally not pro, not con, because I don't tell anybody what to do. Like I don't tell you what to believe with your creator. I'm just giving you the information, you decide. So this is what I know. I want you to pass this information on to as many people as you can because people need to be fully informed right now. And they need to be informed when it comes to just ingesting or injecting a foreign genetic material into your bodies. Now, don't people need to be informed about this? All right. I think they do. So here's number one. The COVID vaccines are RNA, M as in Mary, mRNA vaccines. The mRNA vaccines are completely a new type of vaccine, never been before out there, okay? No mRNA vaccine has ever been licensed for human use before. In essence, we have absolutely no idea right now what to expect from this vaccine. We have no idea if it will be effective or safe. Number two, traditional vaccines simply introduce pieces of a virus to stimulate an immune reaction, all right? Well, that's not how the new mRNA works. It's completely different. You see, it actually injects or transfects, as we say, molecules of synthetic genetic material from a non-human source into our cells, into una vida, one life, una cuerpo, one body. Once in the cells, the genetic material interacts with the transfer of RNA, in quotes, the tRNA. This is according to a Stanford study that I read. And what it does, it makes a foreign protein that supposedly teaches the body to destroy the virus being coded for. Note that these are newly created proteins and are not regulated by our own DNA. And thus, they are completely foreign to our cells. What they are fully capable of doing, once again, is unknown. Number one was unknown. Number two is unknown. Number three, the mRNA molecule is vulnerable to destruction. So in order to protect the fragile mRNA, these strains, while they're being inserted into our DNA, they're coated with a pegylated lipid, or a nanoparticle. Okay, this coating hides the mRNA from our immune system. So it's like it's in hiding. It's playing hide and go seek. And from our immune system, and it ordinarily would kill any foreign material interjected in our body. But the pegylated lipid nanoparticles have been used. Actually, they've been used before in several different drugs for years, maybe even back to the Salk vaccine. Who knew? All right? But because of their effect on our immune system balance, remember that balance? That you become out of balance. It's kind of like standing on one foot rather than two. Eventually you get off balance, all right? Several studies have shown that it induces allergies and autoimmune disease into your once healthy body. Now, how many autoimmune diseases have we talked about on this show? Many. See, additionally, the pegylated lipid and the nanoparticles have been shown to trigger their own immune reactions and actually to cause damage to the liver. So now we have the colon, now we have the liver, and we know, as I've talked before, that you need a good working liver that is our trash heap, then to go into our pancreas, which is our toxic waste dump for the all to work well. But it starts with the colon, now we're into the liver, all right? Well, this study was done that I just referred to, was done with the New England Journal of Medicine, all right? Now, these new vaccines are additionally contaminated with aluminum, mercury, and possibly formaldehyde. Remember in biology when you dissected the fetal pig and it was in formaldehyde, who knew how long it would be? I would tell you that something I know about formaldehyde. When I was doing health-related and professional service business brokering with Creative Solutions back in the day for 17 years, one particular entity, a professional organization that I noticed that had a really short life expectancy was funeral directors. You know why? Because the embalming fluid that they put into a deceased body is formaldehyde. Just saying, okay? That was just kind of a side note, but I want to come back with this. Aluminum and mercury. I mean, I had my mercury fillings taken out when I was in my 20s. There's something about heavy metals in your body, I'm not talking about the music, that are very, very dangerous. So the manufacturers of the vaccines have not disclosed what other toxins they contain. They put this under the guise of undisclosed nature. Okay? Now, number 5, since viruses mutate frequently, The chance of any vaccine working for more than a year is unlikely. Remember how I talked about there's going to be COVID-19 and then 20 and 21, 22. That's why the flu vaccine changes when you see the sign, especially for senior citizens like him. Have you had your flu vaccine this year? Because it changes every year. So you're constantly putting that detergent, the thing that's going to be the brain barrier for seizures, the aluminum, mercury, and maybe formaldehyde in your system. See, last year's vaccine is no more valuable than last year's newspaper or last year's Christmas gift. Okay. Number 6, absolutely no long-term safety studies will have been done to ensure any of these vaccines. These vaccines wouldn't then precipitate cancer, seizures, that's all I mentioned, heart disease, that's just a foregone conclusion, stroke, allergies, and autoimmune disease. And just like other vaccines, they've never had to do those studies. So if you ever wanted to be a guinea pig, well, this would be your time. This is your golden opportunity. Just say that you once again come back to this. I'm going to discriminate, I'm going to differentiate, and I'm going to deliver this information. That's all. Now, number 7, many experts question whether the mRNA, getting back to the mRNA, this technology is ready for prime time. This is certainly prime time. Last month, Dr. Peter J. Hostis, who is a prominent physician in all this, said about the mRNA vaccines, I worry about innovation at the expense of practicality because the mRNA vaccines are weighted towards technology platforms that have never made it to licensure before, end quote. Okay, Dr. Hostis is the professor of pediatrics and molecular virology and microbiology at the Baylor School of Medicine. All right, so this is what I know. This Dr. Mikkel Lineal, this was really good too. She stated, she said, I won't be taking the mRNA vaccine immediately, probably not for at least the coming years. So we have to wait and see whether it's really going to work. And she is a professor of biochemistry at the Harvard School of Medicine. All right. She said, we will have a safety profile for only a certain number of months. If there is a long-term effect after 2 years, well, right now, we cannot know. Now, last month in the Washington Post, there was a hesitancy among healthcare professionals about the mRNA vaccines. They cited surveys which reported that some did not make it to the first round, so they could wait and see if there was a potential side effect. In other words, all of them, like Pfizer, they had several strains. All of these companies, Merck, you name it, J&J, they didn't make all of their vaccines to the first round. Why? Because they wanted to see if this first round had potential side effects. See, doctors and nurses want more data before championing these vaccines to end the pandemic. This is from healthcare professionals. Okay, number 10 or 12. Hang in here with me. It's kind of like the 12 days to a healthful holiday when we're done here. See, since the death rate from COVID is resumed to the normal flu death way back in early September, it just resumed. Okay, the pandemic has long been over since then, all right? They've just kind of merged the two. Therefore, at this point in time, see, we don't know if the vaccine is needed, to be quite honest. And this is according to another physician at the Cornell School of Medicine. The curtain scare tactics regarding escalating cases is based on PCR test because it exceeds the 34 amplifications and now has a 100% false positive rate unless it's performed between the 3rd and 5th day of the first day of symptoms. Therefore, it's highly likely that it's 100% inaccurate with people with no symptoms or very mild symptoms. Isn't that interesting? This is well established, and I read over 10 pieces of scientific literature about this. Okay, there's an attachment. Even if you go to the CDC, there are many, like I said, knowledge is power. I just absolutely encourage you to do your own research, but the CDC has many documents on there about the false positive because of the PCR test. Because if it's not done, as I want to repeat, between the third and fifth day, throw things, I'm just going to say it like it is. It can throw things kaflooey, all right? So now the weekly death rate, that's why it's so much lower than it was in the spring when we were quarantined. And it's absolutely much lower than it is during the normal flu season because of this false positive thing. Okay, number 11. The other thing that you could really need to look at about taking the COVID-19 vaccine is the COVID-19 vaccine, yes, that rhymes, is a substantial herd immunity, a substantial mark, has already happened in the United States. I mean, for real. It has happened, and that's the primary reason that we're seeing a lot more cases, a lot fewer deaths. And nearly 99% of all deaths have at least two other comorbidity rates with it. All right? Now, this is my personal opinion. It's my belief system, just like the office chair that I'm sitting on. Everyone has a BOTTOM, okay? But I'm going to give it to you anyway, all right? Unfortunately, you just cannot really trust 100% what you hear from the media. They have been consistently wrong about a number of things with this virus this year. This is a novel virus because we've never had something like this. And remember, Big Pharma is promoted with vaccines, and they all kind of work together. So every single statement I have made here is not the opinion of the first book of opinions by Jody Bear. Oh, no. It is backed by numerous scientific references. You will find these. You'll find these and this information on my website within the next week, which is it is healthcoachjodee.com. That's healthcoachjodee.com. But wait, I've got two bonus rounds here, number 13 and number 14. So, Peter, we're going to go over about 5 minutes here. I would be very interested to see just what Bill and Melinda Gates, their children and grandchildren, are doing this with former Vice President Joe Biden, President Trump and their entire families, and Dr. Anthony Fauci. I just would like for my own information to see how and what they are doing about the vaccine. That will tell us a lot. All right? Lastly, number 14, anyone after hearing this information, if they still want to be injected with the mRNA, with the mRNA vaccine, at least prior to being vaccinated, go and have your blood work checked for COVID-19 antibodies. You may be asymptomatic, just like Devin Nunes, Congressman Devin Nunes said he went in and found out, I must have had COVID-19 because I've got the antibody for it. So he was giving plasma. See, bottom line, personally, I would rather get a COVID infection than get a COVID vaccine. And I would feel much safer and more effective about it. Remember, I've got the top 10 things how to boost your immune system. I'm going to give you some real hope here in just a minute with this broadcast. I've had a member of, I've had a number of people with COVID-19 flu symptoms. I mean, probably about 100 clients of this year. Some were older, concerns even older than me, heaven forbid, at 66. But I can tell you that every single one of them has done well with natural therapies, the top 10 that I've had. Ozone therapy, IVs are great, a lot of vitamin C, D3, K2, elderberry, zinc, all of these, because modern medicine has no real effective treatment against viral infections, do they? Doesn't mean that there isn't one. And now I'm about to give you the one, because this is what I know. You know of Dr. Jim Marinakis. He has been a favorite. This other doctor, I've given you Dr. Mike's book, now Dr. Jim, who created this remedy for VGARD. It has been absolutely just lauded. This is some formula that he had from his mentor Dr. Jim just turned 70. Dr. Halls would have been 110 at this point. But Dr. Halls came upon this during the Spanish flu, and it literally wiped it out because you've heard me say this, all disease starts with inflammation, but there's a virus that begins. If you have an antiviral and you can dump your viral load, guess what's going to happen? You are going to be clean. It's just the way it works. Well, here's one for you. You've heard me talk about Ganoderma. Ganoderma. You want to do this one? I can get you hooked up. This mighty mushroom, and there are several strains. I happen to know of a premier one that is totally alkaline. And then you've got phycocyanine, which is the absolute Rolls Royce of blue-green algae. You need top drawer professional grade supplements with this. You take Ganoderma having just all alkaline and then you take phycocyanine, which has no alkaline properties but all acidic properties. You put acid and alkaline together and you get a whole bonding of a molecule, a whole bonding of cell immunization. I can tell you this last week, Dr. Jim and I have absolutely, now we can make it to the public. We've got our first clinical studies with phycocyanine. It's come to the market called Phycodine. It is this one-of-a-kind blue-green algae, but our clinical studies are based on 15,000 studies, and all, including, I'm talking about cancers that were absolutely remediated because of this bad one. So there's not a good cancer, but we're talking brain cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, kidney failure. The thing that all of this inflammation, but also very consistent in dumping your viral load. So this is what I know. With Phycodine or phycocyanine and Ganoderma together, you can bulletproof yourself for more than just one dose, maybe until you need to get the next dose of aluminum, mercury, detergent, and goodness knows what else is in there, maybe formaldehyde. And you can bulletproof yourself forever. This is why I know that it works. Now, I'm not being morose about this, but there is going to be a COVID-20, a COVID-22, 23, 24. Do you want to just bulletproof yourself for this one? Maybe. Or do you want to really bulletproof yourself all the way? As I said, energy and creates and begets vitality, which gives you what we all want. And after you have energy to vitality, you will get longevity. And you can have it for the rest of your life and be transformed in optimal health. So if you have any questions about this topic, reach out to me. My 800 number is my office number is 800-820-0584. That's 800-820-0854, or send me an email, jodee@healthcoachjodee.com. That's jodee@healthcoachjodee.com, or go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Jodee to listen to this again. I always, when I put out my invite to these radio shows and this wonderful platform, Peter, that you've given me for a very serious but very important topic today, I say the future becomes the present when we use our imagination and our knowledge wisely. Then we consciously create our own circumstances for success. Isn't that what we've done here tonight? It is, isn't it? See, I started tonight with knowledge is power. You now have the knowledge, so you can go ahead and make the most powerful decision about this important information. Una vida, one life, uno cuerpo, one body. Your health is your wealth. Without health, a man cannot live a proper life. That's what the Dalai Lama said. But with your health, you can and will have everything. Back to you, Peter.
Great information. So for those people that want to hear this again, share with other people, make sure you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Jodee. That's buildingfortunesradio.com/Jody. Jody, thanks for sharing this information in a really simple, very concise, but very serious setting. Thanks so much, and we're going to catch everybody next week on Building Fortunes Radio.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, everyone. You're welcome.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingils. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.